Good Monday afternoon to you. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining us on Sports4CLE. We will be talking plenty about the Browns after that loss to the Ravens late last night. They are now on the bye, trying to get things straightened out. 6-6 on the year. A little later in the show, Kevan Arnold from the Voice of the Land podcast will join us. So we'll dive a little deeper into the Browns. We begin by talking Browns. Some news out of Berea today. So Jack Conklin tore his patella tendon. He is out for the rest of the year. Harrison Bryant suffered a high ankle sprain week to week. They'll reevaluate him after the bye. And then long snapper Charlie Hughley and fullback Johnny Stanton have been placed on the COVID reserve list. All that happening today. Kevin Stefanski met with the media, talked about that loss to the Ravens in Baltimore yesterday.
You know, really just disappointed ultimately not to come away with a victory. Hard-fought game, really good opponent, and we just didn't do enough of the things you got to do on the road to win. And I think defensively, some really good moments, 4 takeaways. I think they averaged 3.9 a play, so they were playing really good football for a large majority of that game. And then offensively, we got to play complementary football. So when we get those takeaways, we got to turn them into points. We got to find a way to stay on the field. And then special teams has to do its part as well. So it's all connected. This week is a very big week for the football team. We're determined to get better, and we're going to use this week to get better. So get better is getting healthy, going for the fresh, recharging, and then also as coaches for us to pull this thing apart and find out ways that we can improve.
Let's welcome in Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. And Hayden, the defense did everything you would want a defense to do, but the offense couldn't run the ball. Didn't seem like there was a lot of open receivers when they threw it. It was a struggle offensively.
Yeah, I think the NFL game is a team game. You go from the quarterback position to the running back position to the wide receiver position. It's everyone. Offensive line, it's everyone. So the Browns are failing on offense in every way, shape, or form. They're not doing enough. They're not utilizing the weapons that they have. Yes, Baker Mayfield is hobbled, and yes, he's shown signs that he can get the job done and he'd make good throws. But he could play better. I think everyone can play better. So this offense is broken. This offense is absolutely broken, and they have to find a way to fix it. I don't know. It's going to take an entire week or 2 weeks to kind of go through everything that they're doing right now. I mean, they scored 7 points in the fourth quarter in their last 7 games. So their formula isn't working. They have to figure it out. And I don't know. It starts with Kevin Stefanski. It starts with AVP, and it trickles down from there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know that it's play calling. I think it's more scheme related, and I think that's kind of what you're getting at. Let's give a little teeth to what you're talking about. Here is a tweet from Jake Trotter. Scoring for the Browns since October 10th. 14, that was against the Cardinals. 17, that was against the Broncos. That was a win. 10 against the Steelers. 41 against the Bengals when all the Odell mess was going on the week of. They came up and put 41 up. 7 against the Patriots in that big loss. 13 against the Lions. That was the win. 10 against the Ravens. An average of 16 points a game since October 10th. And that encompasses the last 7 games. And this is an offense that is one of the best running offenses in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, that may, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in football, you're going to, maybe it lends itself to less points.
Yeah. You make a good point. They finally get Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb back in the backfield last night. But really, again, they couldn't run the ball in part because the Ravens were putting 8 and 9 people near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's very true. I know we're having some technical difficulties, but the offensive passing game is definitely not where it needs to be. there's something going on with the scheme. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Baker Mayfield not seeing what he needs to see. I don't know if it's the pre-snap. I don't know if it's, the team's just keying in on the run more so than they have to, or more so than, the Browns are used to. It's broken, and they have to fix it somehow, some way.
Yeah, I would agree. Baker Mayfield, after the game last night, talked about just the offense and what he thinks they need to do to just get it rolling again.
Yeah, we just need to make more plays. I mean, as simple as that sounds, there's plays there to be made. Certain situations where we need to have answers for the zero pressure stuff. They did a good job today of, when they showed zero pressure and bailing out, and then when they weren't showing it, they brought it. So, they did a really good job today. We just need to make more plays, and, we need to have a little bit more confidence. Need to go back, regroup, and just trust that we have the guys to make those plays.
Along those lines, Baker, how frustrating not to be able to cash in those 4 picks and the more points?
Very frustrating. That's kind of the story of our season so far, is not being able to play complimentary football. We've, besides the Cincinnati game, defense I thought played great. When you're playing an offense like that is talented as they are, and Lamar's running around and making plays like that, it's just, we need to play better. We need to make more plays. It's just, it's as simple as that. Got to play complimentary football down the stretch to be a playoff team.
And Hayden, when you look at it, they can't seem to put any consistent offense together, and that's why I think they have to tweak what their philosophy is. They have to figure out, when a team takes this away, because teams are taking away their run game, where do we go? How do we make them pay for doing that?
Yeah, it's a staple of Kevin Stefanski's offense, is running the football. And if they can't do it, it makes things a lot more difficult, because this offense isn't built on just, checking the ball all over the field. It's built on methodical passing games. It's built on specific route concepts. It's built on, tight ends and guys getting open and making mismatches and stuff like that. So the modern NFL is a very pass-happy league, and this is not a very pass-happy team. So they're going to have to figure it out. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they got to find a way to get this offense back and rolling again. I think it goes beyond Baker Mayfield. I think it goes beyond. I think it is a scheme issue. I think that sometimes in the modern NFL, you kind of just got to throw it up and let these guys make plays. It's tough, but it's reality.
Yeah, and again, if it was a simple fix, it would have been fixed already. So it's a complex fix that some coaches are going to be spending some long days in Berea this week to try to figure out. All right, Kareem Hunt Sr., Kareem Hunt's dad, posted this on Facebook, and he said people are going to accuse him of being OBJ's dad. He's just stating facts, according to him. But it looks like the quarterback is limping and he's scared to throw the ball. They know he's hurt, and they're going to keep listening, but people don't like what I'm saying. Unfriend me, jeopardizing nothing. No videos posted. Have a good day, go Browns. But he's basically saying Baker Mayfield's hurt and doesn't want to throw the football. And my response is he's not seeing a whole lot of separation. And that was very, very, very apparent yesterday. And you can dissect any type of, game film in all 22 and say, this guy was open and this guy was open. The problem is the first 2 or 3 reads are not open, and he doesn't have time to get beyond them because they're getting after him.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it. It's everything. I think that it's partially the reads. Some of the reads aren't there. I think partially it's Baker's a little hobbled and doesn't have as much time. I think, the offensive line missing Jack Conklin for the rest of the year is big, and Blake Hance is not a right tackle by trade. So I think it's literally everything at this point. And, Kareem Hunt, again, these guys were allowed to have opinions. Kareem Hunt Sr. is allowed to have an opinion. Kareem and Baker are very close. I know that, and they're great friends. And I don't think that's an issue, locker room issue, but everybody wants everybody to succeed. Everybody wants the Browns to succeed. They want the team to succeed. So I think the biggest problem here is that, yes, there's blame to go on the quarterback, absolutely, but there's also blame everywhere else around. And the quarterback is just the easiest scapegoat, and it always will be that way. So I'm always 1 to 10 to side with the quarterback, no matter who it is, whether it's Lamar, Baker, Big Ben. And it's a very difficult position to play, especially when things aren't going well, not only offensively with the scheme, with the play calling, but also with, being hurt and also having, little holes here and there and things that aren't, happening, getting the job done. So I think it goes beyond Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield is, he's not perfect by any stretch, but I don't think he's the one holding them completely back.
Yeah, I would agree. There's plenty of concern in guys that are not performing the way they've been expected to go around on that offensive side of the ball. Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we continue talking Browns, looking back at that Ravens game. Keyshawn Johnson is play calling the problem. We'll delve into that. Sports4CLE, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns on a bye this week. Keyshawn Johnson on if the Browns' problems on offense are in the play calling of Kevin Stefanski. This is from ESPN's KJM.
It's not the play calling at all. Kevin Stefanski's just doing a good job. I don't think that Alex Van Pelt is the answer at all. You're going to get that in sports talk radio. You're going to get it from newspapers. You're going to get people saying Kevin Stefanski's lost his fastball. Like, we wasn't saying that 6 weeks ago. The guy was calling plays 6 weeks ago. He's doing fine. It's just much like you're saying, Dan, when your offensive tackles are banged up, when your running game is not working, 17 carries is what they have for 40 yards. Yeah. It's not working. They got away from that. Jarvis Landry's not separating. They haven't been able to get him going. So when you start to look at it, Jones can't get him going. Higgins can't get him going. They've got to go back and do some self-evaluating on what they're doing from an offensive standpoint. But taking the play calling out of Kevin Stefanski's hands is ridiculous. No.
And Hayden Grove, I tend to agree with him. What he's getting at is they need to tweak the scheme. You need to give options that, will defeat a defense when they're taking this away from it. And that's what they're going to do this week.
Yeah, they got to go back to the drawing board because it's broken. It's not working. There's nothing that's working with this offense. They're not throwing the ball very well. They're not getting guys open. Baker Mayfield seems to be under duress. Not seeing the field as well as he has. The run game is easily thwarted at this point. They don't have a downfield threat without Anthony Schwartz in the game. A lot of drops from Austin Hooper. A lot of David Njoku, gets open, but not enough consistency from him. Jarvis Landry, I think, had his best game of the year last night and came on his birthday, and that's great, and got some separation, and Baker made some really nice throws to him. But at the same time, you're not going to get that every week. Donovan Peoples-Jones still, kind of fighting that injury and learning. in his second year. So it's unfair. It really is difficult. I think last night, Kevin Stefanski's play calling was bad last night, no doubt. I didn't think he handled it well, but I don't think it's time for him to give up play calling. I think they got to dive deep and see what's going on. See what the issue is. Is it a schematic issue? Are you willing to adapt? Are you willing to make changes? Because I know what Kevin Stefanski said today. I believe in my scheme. I believe in my players. Well, your scheme is not working right now, Kevin. So you gotta adjust it somehow, some way.
Yeah, I would agree. It's and again, it's all about adjustments. The league has seen his scheme for a year. They've adjusted to it. Now he's got a week to put it together and try to adjust back. They did it off of the bye last week. Let's see if he comes up with some of that bye week magic again. All right. Browns defense forced 5 turnovers in the first 8 games of the season. They have forced 9 the last 4. So the defense starting to take the ball away and quite frankly, playing well enough to win and win big. The defense has started to play like we expected them to.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They've been playing very well. Ball hawking, I mean, last night you saw it. Got after. I think they had a pretty perfect game plan with Lamar Jackson. And people have killed Joe Woods. But, man, you know what? He comes up when it counts. He has been good, and this defense has been good when it's counted. They were bad against New England, but they were great against Minnesota. They were great against the Bears. They were great against the Lions. They were great last night against Lamar Jackson has an innate ability that no one else in the NFL has to just make guys miss. Not even Kyler Murray is as good. I mean, you saw last night, Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett were frustrated. They were getting after him any which way, and he just found a way. I mean, they didn't let him run for big gains. They didn't let him throw much, except for the 2 biggest plays of the game were the one that, ran around and got back 30 yards and just heaved it up. That's a broken play that they made work. And then the other one was Lamar Jackson kind of just giving a guy a chance and Mark Andrews and made an amazing catch. That would have been a 15-yard play rather than a 35, 40-yard play. So you cannot fault this Browns defense for last night. I thought they were fantastic. I thought the game plan was fantastic. I thought they got after him. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah was fantastic. It was just the offense is the biggest issue here because defensively they played well enough to win last night, and they're starting to turn the ball over, which is a great sign. I thought they held the run game in check last night. They did everything they needed to do to win that game, and the Browns offense let them down for sure. Yeah,
Myles Garrett talked about creating those 4 turnovers and only getting 3 points off of them. We give you a little sneak peek. Here's Myles Garrett about turnovers and not being able to create points off of them.
It's hard to process. We got to be better. We got to turn those plays into scores on defense, and we got to make some more stops when we're backed up. And we let them drive out a couple of times where they were backed up in 30, 25, and got to give a shorter field for offense.
You got to go all the way back to 2013 to play the last time quarterback threw 4 picks in a game and still won. How frustrating is it to play that well defensively and still not come out of here with a victory?
I mean, it's very frustrating. None of the guys will tell you otherwise. When you have that kind of performance, I'm not saying you expect to win, but you expect to, have a chance. And that's all we were given. We were given a chance, and we didn't get it done on defense or on offense.
After the touchdown Lamar threw, where you were chasing him, looked like you guys met at midfield and talked. What did you say to him? What did he say to you? I
said it was a hell of a play, and he told me good stuff, but no more explicit. I mean, man made a hell of a play, and that's what he does. I hit his arm while he was throwing. I was expecting it to be a fumble or an incomplete pass, and he gets it 30 yards down the field into the end zone. I mean, the guy's a great player, and I dapped him up because I have sportsmanship, at least in my eyes. I help guys up. I dap them up when they make a hell of a play like that he made. And I don't think anything should come out of us having respect for our opponents. I don't think there should be any doubt in our heart or who we are on that field.
And Hayden Grove, I agree with him. That was a ridiculous play. Yeah, I don't know that he could make that play again today if the exact same circumstances happened. But he made it when it counted, and it counted as 6 points.
I think he could make that play today. I mean, that's just who he is. He makes these unbelievable plays. He runs around like a crazy man and just heaves it up and guys catch it. I mean, it made me think last night. It really did. It made me think that, like, Kevin Stefanski is so detail oriented. All this, everything is about being in the right place. Everything's like very detailed. But then Lamar comes out there and just plays some, backyard football and they score. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a balance there. Maybe there's a little bit of you need some structure, but also just throw it up sometimes. Make it, see what happens. Because Lamar did it last night twice and it worked out in their favor. Mark Andrews is a hell of a player, by the way, no doubt. And Lamar Jackson, has a ton of trust in him. So maybe it's better to just kind of give your guys some freedom instead of, operating everything in a phone booth and making sure everything's so meticulous. I mean, I don't know. Lamar can do that. The one play that really sticks out to me was just Miles and Jadeveon both had a finger on him, and he just kind of like skipped out of their grasp. I mean, he's an unbelievable player, an incredible one. And that's why they won last night. They won because the Browns just could not get that last finger on him. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and you know what? It isn't for a lack of effort or lack of trying. That defense was all over him. All right, so this is a tweet that you had that's interesting. So Browns are the first team in NFL history to lose when scoring 40-plus points with 500 yards and 0 turnovers in a game, and lose when getting 4 interceptions in a game in the same season. Those would be things that you want to avoid doing. Those are lists you want to avoid being on in NFL history.
It goes to show this season has just been insane. I mean, it's been, the Browns played one of their best offensive games of the year, had 500 yards. Baker Mayfield was great. David Njoku was great, and they lost. And, then last night their offense is completely broken. The defense plays great, and they lose. It's a microcosm of what this year has been. When the offense has been good or been good enough, the defense hasn't. When the defense is good or good enough, not good enough, the offense is. It's just, it's been a back and forth. There's been one game of complimentary football. I think there's been one game the entire season of complimentary football, and that was against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you looked at what happened when the Browns played their best offensive game and their best defensive game, and that was that. They got a big win. Other than that, the offense has been brutal, and the defense has been brutal at times. So it's just been a microcosm of everything that's happened this season. The NFL is a very, very difficult place to win. It's, the same teams do it all the time because they have discipline, they have coaching, they have all this, talent, all that good stuff. But even then, I mean, it's very, very tough to win in this league. It's very, very tough. So you got to be meticulous. You got to get, you got to put in the adequate effort. You got to be, every play's got to be, you got to be focused and laser focused and coaching's got to be there. It's just, there's a lot that goes into winning an NFL game, and it's tough to do.
Yeah. And Joel Bitonio today talked about kind of the offensive funk that the Browns are in and kind of trying to get out of it.
It's not surprising. It's just frustrating. I think we're just frustrated, and we understand that there's, points to be scored. The defense played lights out last night. 4 turnovers and, containing that offense was pretty impressive, what they did. And we just didn't convert, points off turnovers. It was, it was frustrating. It's been a few weeks. Like you said, we haven't had our success that we wanted to do. We're going to take this bye week. We're going to look at it. We're going to self-scout and really try to fully understand. I think at the end of the day, winning one-on-ones, and that's in the blocking game, that's in the passing game, that's all things. If you do your 1-11th on each play, like, sometimes there's unblocked guys, sometimes there's things that are out of our control, but at the end of the day, if you execute a little bit better, there's things to be done. And for our offense, we behind the sticks with penalties or a loss of yardage on first down, put you in 2nd and 12, and that's not really where we're the most efficient. So those have been some of the issues as well, but it really comes down to executing and figuring out, do we have tells or what, and can we exploit those in, the last few games of the season.
And Hayden, the Browns are searching for what they can do. It's clear they are looking for the answers because they need them quickly.
Yeah, they do. It's so hard for me to talk about because I don't know what the issue is. Like it could be, I think it's everything. It's literally everything. I think it's everything from play calling. I think you can't change your identity, but you got to change the way you're doing things because teams are keying in on the run that if you don't have your identity, your best two players are Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, right? Those are your best two offensive players, maybe closely followed by Jarvis Landry third. Skill players, I'm saying. If those guys are stopped, what are we doing? You know, it's tough. You got to find something else, some sort of answer, and that's what they're going to do toward this bye week.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. We continue talking Browns football. We will look at the highest graded players, Pro Football Focus from the Browns yesterday. Also Baker Mayfield. How do the Browns correct the offensive issues? Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns football as they are on a bye this week. So Nick Wright from FS1's First Things First talked about the way the Browns are handling Baker Mayfield and his injury situation.
Baker Mayfield's too hurt to play. And if you're going to play your hurt quarterback, either don't call the quarterback-designed run sneak on third and a long one, or don't let him audible into it. They were playing Baker yesterday as if he were healthy. He's not. And this is an abject failure of a season for the Browns, Broussard. They also have a brutal schedule the rest of the way. They're not going to make the playoffs. Baker, whether it's injury or otherwise, is regressing. And think about it like this, Broussard. They had a 2-year head start on Cincinnati for the rebuild. Cincinnati's way ahead of them now. I think Cincinnati's got the better quarterback. Cincinnati seems to be the more complete team. How do you let that happen? So I think they could have won with Case yesterday. I think Baker healthy is obviously better than Case, but he ain't healthy. Case could have, he can't score 17, scored 17 and beat the Broncos. He scored 17.
Hayden Grove, I think Baker Mayfield's probably more healthy than he's been. I get some of the points Nick Wright is making, but I don't agree by and large with most of them.
There's a disconnect here. There's a major disconnect. And to me, it's pretty obvious. I mean, the coach said today, Baker's healthy, and he's getting healthier. Nick Wright says, Baker's not healthy, and they're not helping him. So where's the disconnect? Is he healthy or is he not? And that's the answer. I don't know. If he's not healthy, then he's not healthy. If he's healthy, he's healthy. If the coach thinks he's healthy, then he's healthy. I mean, if the medical team says he's healthy, he's healthy. I don't understand. Case Keenum, I don't think wins that game. I think Baltimore plays the same way against Case Keenum. I don't think there was any chance with the only. I don't know if there's any quarterback outside of like Kyler Murray where they had an option to run the football that any quarterback wins that game. I mean, the Browns receivers just did not have separation. They dropped passes. Baker Mayfield, had some decisions that probably weren't the best, but it's everything. It's about the scheme. It's about everything, literally everything. And I don't think Case Keenum wins that game. I think 28 out of 32 quarterbacks probably lose that game in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think Baker Mayfield was the issue by any stretch of the imagination against the Ravens. So this is a tweet from Seth Walder, analytics guy from ESPN. Baker Mayfield ranks 26th in QBR this season, sandwiched between Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold. Yikes, that's not a neighborhood you want your quarterback in at this point. If you are a Cleveland Browns fan, front office person, or player, that is a bad neighborhood to be in.
No, it is, for sure. Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you, Baker Mayfield did not play well against Detroit. He knew that. That's why he got upset. He was bad. The guys were open. He missed them. I think last night was a very, very different story. So I think, again, there have been times where the injuries have affected Baker. There have been times where Baker has been bad, and you can't really blame the injuries because he's been out there. But I think, again, if you look at it by a game basis, there's all, there are days where it's Baker's fault. Certainly, the Detroit being one of them, and they still got to win. Last night was not Baker's fault. I think that the Patriots game was not really Baker's fault either. I think, yes, he made a couple bad throws, but that was they were not prepared to play, and be that Bill Belichick or whatever. I mean, the Patriots are a very, very, very hot team right now. So I don't know. It's all over the board. It's everywhere, and the numbers are numbers. I mean, that's the bottom line. So evaluate Baker after the season, because that's not a place you want to be in. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So Baker Mayfield, again, post-game yesterday was asked, how do you correct the offensive issues for the Browns moving forward?
Everybody's just got to do their job. Nothing more than that. Nothing less. Do your 1/11th. Whatever the job is during those plays for the scheme, we need to be able to accomplish that and focus on the little details, because I feel like there's just a lot of things we're beating ourselves right now. And, when we play a good team like that, they're going to take advantage of it, and they did just that today. So we know that. We just have to focus in and do our job, and it's as simple as that.
Baker, before this game, margin for error for getting into the playoffs was pretty slim. Can you guys still get there? Is that a realistic goal for you?
I think so. Still going the bye week, play the Ravens again, and you got a few division games left, and so those are important games. And every single one, it's going to be a true 1 week at a time mentality for us, and we have to have that. So we need to control what we can, and that's doing our job and going out there and finding ways to win 1 week at a time.
And Hayden, the margin for error for the playoffs is gone. They basically, they might be able to lose one game and get in. They most likely have to win the 5 remaining at 6-6 to get in.
Yeah, they could probably go 10-7 to make the playoffs, but it's a tough task. You got to beat Baltimore, you got to beat Green Bay, you got to beat Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football. This could very well end up a 9-8 season. And it goes back to some of those early wins that you should have had when you were playing well. The Kansas City game, that's a big one. The LA game, that's a big one. There are big games that they lost, and they had it in their grasp. So it's sometimes I think it's a little more than sometimes it's more luck than anything. The Jamie Gillen drop punt, the bad call, the bad PI call. It's just sometimes luck is involved. Even last night, Baker Mayfield trying to get the ball to Kareem Hunt, and the guy was in his face for a second, had to just clutch a little bit before he get that out there, and the ball falls out of his hand. It's just the little things that have made the season go so awry, and it takes the little things for things to go well in this season. So the Browns have not been able to overcome those little things that have killed them, and you're right, their margin of error is 0 now. You got to go out and beat Baltimore. You got to go out and beat LA or the Vegas. You got to go out and beat the Green Bay Packers, and then you're looking at 9-6 and with 2 games left, and that's going to be your season.
Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will head to the voicemail of truth and reason. We'll also look a little deeper into the Browns' running game last night. They struggled again against the Ravens. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns football with Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Time for us to head to the voicemail of truth and reason. This one deals with quarterbacks.
Hey, how you doing? I'm just calling to chime in about the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation. And I look at the Tennessee Titans as one of the examples here where when they had Marcus Mariota, he had a lot of expectations behind him. They went and got Ryan Tannehill from the Miami Dolphins, who wasn't a great quarterback at the time, but he's been exactly what they needed. My thought is that the Browns should take a look at Mitchell Trubisky and try to get him over Case Keenum, who is an expensive backup for next year, because Baker will still be the quarterback next year. Let me know what you think.
Hayden Grove, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I would say Nick Mullins is a young guy that's on the practice squad who has experience starting in the NFL, running this system, and is likely the heir apparent as the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I admittedly was laughing because, I thought he was going to say that Mitchell Trubisky should be the answer over Baker Mayfield. Now I was just going to laugh to the moon. But I get it. If you want to bring him in as backup, that's fine. Cleveland loves their own. We know that. Cleveland loves their own guys. I was a big Mitchell Trubisky guy as well. And I have no problem with Cleveland bringing in Mitchell Trubisky next year as a backup and to compete with Baker. I think that'd be a dream come true for Mitchell. I think he's a young guy that maybe deserves another chance in the NFL, and he might get one. So, Nick Mullins on the practice squad, it is what it is. But I think that if you're going to bring in backups, that's fine, but that's not the point here. The point here is they're not looking for a guy to take Baker's job. They got to elevate Baker's play. They got to make Baker better. Baker's got to be better. It has nothing to do with their backup situation. Case Keenum is arguably one of the best backups in the NFL. It's the scheme. It's everything. It's everything, and it's broken right now. And maybe they can find a way to salvage it. But I'm fine with them bringing in literally any backup quarterback. I don't care who it is at this point.
So we've alluded to the struggles running the ball yesterday. Browns 17 carries, 40 yards, 2.4 yards a carry, and people want to say that they gave up. I've heard and have been, emailed that they gave up on the run game too early. If you look at it, there were 8, sometimes 9 defenders in the box walking up to the line of scrimmage. So what that means is all 5 of the offensive linemen are carrying out their blocks and trying to set up the cutback lanes. And there are defenders in pretty much every cutback lane you go to. Now, if you break through and are able to break a tackle, it's a big gain. But running into 8 and 9 men box is sort of like running into a brick wall and expecting a different result.
I think they could have done it a little more than they did yesterday. I think they could have run it a couple times. I think they could have been a little more creative. I know that they ran kind of a pitch play that didn't work out. You have to give credit to Baltimore's defense. They fly around. I mean, Patrick Queen is incredible talent, kind of like their JOK. And they do a really good job defensively. But I think they could have done just a couple more times. Not a lot more. Just they could have tried a couple more things. Instead of some of the plays they made. I think that yes, you can run it into the 8 or 9 box, maybe a little bit, and then once you kind of continue to do that, I think they could have broken something yesterday. Maybe not with Nick Chubb, but I think Kareem Hunt is the running back to run in that way because he's just the guy that's slippery. He can get through. Nick Chubb is not slippery. If he's anything, he'll run over you, he'll run through you, but he's not necessarily slippery. So when there's 9 guys there, he's probably going to get taken down. But Kareem Hunt yesterday. I know he's coming back from injury, but I would have run him a couple more times, given him a little more of a shot, and kind of tried a little bit to run the football a little more than they did yesterday.
Well, the other thing that would have been interesting, they did not have a fullback active as Andy Janovich was inactive, so you couldn't put the fullback there. A lot of times with the stacked box, the fullback kind of leads, and that will occupy one of those guys that's filling. But they could not do that. So it'll be interesting. Kevin Stefanski did talk about the run game and what the Browns saw from the Ravens today.
We knew the matchup was going to be difficult. Like you mentioned, Darryl, they're a good football team. We still have confidence in our run game. We have very, very high expectations in our run game, whatever we are, top 3 or whatever it is. But we really weren't very efficient last night. We can be better. I know we can be better. We will be better. But just ultimately, we didn't have enough opportunities to let our run game come through for us. And when it wasn't coming through, we pivoted at times to the pass game.
So here's the question for you, Hayden. We've kind of talked about, a lot being broken. If you can fix one thing with this Browns team during the bye week and say it is, but you only get one. You can fix one thing that will be like it was last year or significantly better. What would it be in able to get you the 4 or 5 wins that you need to make the playoffs?
That's the hardest question I've ever been asked. I don't know. Because I think it's just so much. It's a little bit on everyone. It's a little bit on Stefanski. It's a little bit on Baker. It's a little bit on the offensive line. It's a little bit on the wide receivers. It's a little bit on the tight ends. It's a little bit on everyone. I think everybody gets a piece of the pie. So one thing, no drops. No drops. You can't drop the football. That's what I would fix. Because last night we saw with Demetric Felton, we saw with David Njoku, it makes things, instead of, say you have a 3rd and 8 and you throw the ball 6 yards and you're 4th and 2, you can go for that. You can't go for a 4th and 8. Demetric Felton dropped the ball right in his hands, right off his chest for a first down. I mean, it's just, the Browns had to play perfect in the pass game last night and they didn't. And, some of that's on Baker Mayfield, but a lot of that's also on the receivers. So can't drop the football. Can't do it.
And, we've said that a couple of times in the games where the offense have struggled. It's been the guys aren't helping Baker Mayfield any from the receiving position.
Yeah, I mean, Jarvis Landry had one uncharacteristically bad day against the Steelers, and that cost him in that game. The other guys that you can't really count on. I don't think Austin Hooper has been a reliable tight end catching the football this year. David Njoku's never going to be a guy that you're like, man, he's going to catch everything. I mean, he'll make a great catch every now and then, but he's just not. That's not his game. He's athletic. He's a mismatch problem, but his hands have never been his strong suit. Jarvis' his hands are his strong suit, but then he can get a little separation. But guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones, they have to be perfect. They had to be perfect last night in the pass game. They weren't, and that's why they lost.
So the question is, does Anthony Schwartz, if he's back healthy, does he help him stretch things out a little bit? That's the other thing that it might help you if you can at least expand the defense vertically.
In theory, it does, but he has no other ability outside of vertical. I mean, they haven't. He hasn't gotten open enough, and it would help in theory. I think again, they miss Odell badly, and I was never on the team to get rid of Odell. I was never on that side of things. I was like, no, I know he didn't want to be a decoy, but he helped other guys get open. He helped Donovan Peoples-Jones. He helped Jarvis Landry. He did. And I know that's, again, Odell is a guy that wants the ball and he wants, to win and all that stuff. And if he's not getting the ball and they're not winning, then, what happened. But they miss Odell. They need to go get 2 receivers next season, whoever they are, because right now Anthony Schwartz is not cutting it. Jamarcus Bradley, who was on the practice squad, is now somebody they're targeting. It's baffling to me. It's baffling. So, yes, Anthony Schwartz could help in theory, but you got to go out and get some players in the offseason.
Fair enough. Hayden Grove from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. As always, Hayden, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you, Dave. Have a great week.
You too. Appreciate it. Hayden Grove, make sure you read them. Pages of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a timeout. On the other side of the break, we continue talking Browns. Kevan Arnold from the Voice of the Land podcast will join us. Sports4CLE. He'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination. I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams, I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns coming off that tough loss to the Ravens, heading into a bye week. Kevan Stefanski has some work to do. He talked about kind of getting that offense going and what he can do to correct it.
A bunch of different things, Tom, that we can do better. When we spend some time looking at it and pull it apart, the first thing we're going to say is, all right, what are we good at? Can we do that more? Can we do it? How can we add nuance to it? How can we add wrinkles to it? And then what are we not so good at? And can we get better at that? Can we do that play type, whatever it may be? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to spend some time finding ways to do it. And if the answer is that's just not who we are, then we're going to move on and look for something better. So I think that's just where this bye week can be a deep dive into really who we are.
Let's welcome in Kevan Arnold from the Voice of the Land podcast. And Kevan, the offense needs some fixing. I think most of the challenges are scheme related. Your thoughts?
I agree, and I was listening to you and Hayden talk about this. First off, we have some of the best people, coaches, managers, general managers, of saying a whole lot without saying anything here in our Cleveland sports team. That's for sure. So in that clip, he's really not telling you anything. Now, of course, you don't want to give anything away. You don't want to give anything on film to the Ravens who you're going to have to face in 2 weeks again. But honestly, at this point, the whole league has adjusted to them. You guys used that word talking earlier. The league has adjusted to them. There has not been any sort of adjustment back to the league, how they're playing against them. It's almost as if when this offense is trying to operate, it's almost as if the defense is playing their scheme better than the Browns are playing their own offensive scheme. Every single defender is in the right spot. Wide receivers are not getting open because the cornerbacks, defensive backs are running the routes right with them. They know exactly what this team is going to go to when they're in a passing situation or in a run situation. They're going to stretch it out. They're going to try to go up the middle. Nothing is working. I've heard the word broken all day long. Boy, as Browns fans, that is so hard to hear, that your offense is broken when you're in year 2 with the same coaching staff. And that's all we heard in the offseason, same coaching staff, same offense. And you're having a hard time finding a way to adjust back to the league and do things that they aren't expecting you to do. Hopefully in these 2 weeks, they find something in that playbook that will allow them to do that.
I mean, if you're looking for a bright spot, they did do that after the bye week last week. Not saying that means it's going to happen again, but if you want some optimism, that's all I got for you at this point. All right, since week 5, and this is a Jake Trotter tweet, Browns offense ranks 24th in efficiency, 25th in expected points added, 19th yards per play, 24th third down conversion rate, 26th in first downs per game. And those are all, keep in mind, there's only 32 teams in the league. So all of those are in areas you do not want to be in. The most concerning third down rate, well, they're all concerning, but the third down conversions as well as first downs per game are the ones that you need to improve dramatically immediately.
This team just seems like it has to work so hard just to get a first down, and it's hard to watch. Last night was painful, I know, for a lot of fans to watch, and even maybe some for Baltimore fans watching that at home, because both defenses were playing very, very well. But we've seen this time and time again over the last 6 or 7 weeks with this offense, except for the Cincinnati game. that it's just so difficult. It's working extra hard, putting in so much extra effort to try to get a first down. They're not getting it. And you look at 19th in yards per play. Well, that's probably a little skewed just because they have had some success and they still do have success when Nick Chubb's on the field when with this run game. So that has helped with their yards per play. But conversion rate is difficult, and they are in 3rd and longs a lot, whether it's drop passes or bad reads by Baker. It's all going wrong, and it's going to take a lot in these 2 weeks to kind of match the bye week success that they had last year. It's going to take a lot to have that same kind of success and turnaround for only 5 games after this bye week to finish out this season.
Yeah, you forgot the penalties. That's another one that's added to the 3rd and long. Don't forget the penalties. That's been a big one as well. All right.
No, don't worry. We don't.
All right. Myles Garrett has been outstanding. He is, without question, kind of chasing Defensive Player of the Year. Take a look at this. He's tied Reggie Camp back in 1984. I remember Reggie Camp. I covered Reggie Camp. Single-season sack record with 14. He's tied him. And there are still 6 games left. 5 games left now. So 5 games left. He will, in all likelihood, set the sack record for the franchise and is actually chasing the NFL record as well. He has been that good, being Myles Garrett.
I mean, you say the name Myles Garrett. Last night, of course, in his intros, he's saying, I am Myles Garrett. Well, yeah, you are. You're one of the best defenders in all the league, and we're wasting performances like that from the best defender and a defense turning into what we all expected it to be. I mean, Myles Garrett is getting double and triple teamed time and time again. You know, we've seen the potential holds that aren't called throughout the year. Those were called last night. But, I mean, the sack on Lamar Jackson, he went through 3 different guys to get there. No matter what you do, he's going to find a way. He's going to find a way to wreak havoc. And it all starts with Myles Garrett, and then that allows – it gets Lamar with happy feet in the pocket, kind of helped probably in some of those interceptions. And then Lamar just started to see he didn't know what he was seeing because the defensive scheme is improving. It's the offensive scheme that isn't helping out the defense. And then by the time the game is over, now, you know, a running team like Baltimore, they're going to do what the Browns want to do. They're up in the game. They're going to run the ball down. They're going to try to get that extra field goal, that extra set of points, and make you go the length of the field to try to win. It's good that Myles Garrett is on this team because I don't know what this record would be if Myles Garrett wasn't here and this defense wasn't improving. We probably wouldn't even be talking about any potential mathematic positioning in the playoffs after the bye week.
Kevan Arnold from the Voice of the Land podcast and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will continue talking Browns on the other side of the break. Joel Bitonio will kind of give us where the Browns stand and kind of what they're thinking inside the building in Berea. Shannon Sharp will also talk about Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Sports for CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Back to new friends, new classroom, and learning new things. Back to wearing shoes, man, like real shoes. Back to rushing to class. Back to having questions. Lots of questions. Back to vending machine dinners. Back to too much caffeine, too late at night, but feeling like it was a night well spent. Back to pursuing your dreams and taking control of your future. Come back to go forward. Try C, where futures begin.
We continue talking Browns on a bye this week after that 16-10 loss to the Ravens last night on Sunday Night Football. Shannon Sharp, a former NFL player on FS1's Undisputed on Baker Mayfield and the Browns.
Now, I want to know whose fault it is that Baker Mayfield has continued to struggle and the offense has continued to struggle since what was causing the problem has been removed. Now, I'm just trying to figure out how can a defense hand you 4 turnovers and you only score 3 points off of those turnovers. How can a team turn the ball over 4 times and still have 18 minutes time of possession more than you? You know how? Because you go 3 and out. You mean to tell me the Ravens had got held to 16 points? The defense, the Browns defense give their offense 4 turnovers and you score 3 points? 3? 3 measly, stinking, pathetic, lousy points. That's what your guy, who I told you from day one, if Baker Mayfield was a 3rd or 4th round pick, nobody would be up in arms. It's the mere fact that he was the number 1 overall draft pick. And everybody had these illusions that he is great when he's been average. The body of work says Baker Mayfield is average.
Kevan, Arnold, the thing that really stuck out about that is with the 4 turnovers, the Ravens had an 18-minute positive with time of possession. That'll show you how much that offense struggled.
3 points. I mean, it sounded like the old Allen Iverson practice. We're talking about practice. 3 points. We're talking about only 3 points after 4 turnovers. That can't happen. That absolutely cannot happen. That is on Baker Mayfield. That is on this offense. That is on this coaching staff. And Shannon Sharpe said it best. He's average. This team is average. 6-6 is average. And that is not what this team was supposed to be. When you're supposed to take strides moving forward after a year like you had last year, and yeah, it was in COVID times. You didn't have fans in the stands all the time. But you should still be improving and improving as the year goes on. And whether it's injuries or whatever, there are too many times where those excuses get thrown out the window. Baker's got to play better. These wide receivers have to play better. The offensive line has to play better. Your defense is finally starting to get the takeaways that they talked about. They talked about it. Now they talk the talk. Now they're walking the walk. This offense continues to talk the talk about we got to be better. Kevin Stefanski says every single time, oh, I just got to call a better game. I got to be better. We got to be better. But we're not seeing it. It's one thing to talk about it. It's a whole nother thing to be about it. And they better be about it moving forward. And it better be about it in these coaching meetings they're going to have this week once the players leave tomorrow. And then once the players get back in the building next Monday.
Yeah, there is no margin for error. They have exhausted all of that in the first 12 games. It's basically the playoffs here. If they lose, it's going to be a real struggle to get into the regular playoffs. Well, Joel Bitonio today talked about where the Browns stand as a team and kind of their belief in moving forward.
I think we have a prideful group, and I think we have guys that want to compete and guys that play hard. Like it's not a lack of effort, out there. And it's a National Football League. You never know what's going to happen. We gotta come out and get better this bye week, and then get ready for Baltimore again. Watch some games this weekend and see what we can do. But you're not in the right profession if it gets hard like that, because it's NFL. Everything's hard, and I think we're focused. And I think we had good meetings today, and we're going to be refocused after this bye week.
And again, they really don't have an option. It's either get focused or start making your plans for the off season.
It's as simple as that, Dave. You said it perfectly. It's, you really want the playoffs. If playoffs are something you're thinking about in that building still, which they are going to be, then you have to find a way to everything that you are telling us in these press conferences, finding a way to actually execute on that and bring that to fruition between those 4 white lines on the field, especially down at First Energy Stadium when they get a chance to play again, 1:00 in 2 weeks against the Baltimore Ravens once again. Then you better be about it. Because, yeah, like you said, Dave, if you're not, in a couple weeks, a couple more losses, your guys are really going to be starting to think about those plans, and it could really spiral out of control heading into an offseason that would be so vital for this team. And, who knows where all of those storylines and all of that kind of chaos could lead, because we already know it's all chaos right now as it is for Browns fans, Browns players, coaches, everyone involved with the whole process and organization.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question. I asked it earlier of Hayden. You can fix one thing, but only one thing with the Browns moving forward that will enable them to get into the playoffs. What is that one thing that you wave the magic wand and fix?
Boy, I wish my magic wand works miracles for the teams that we root for here in Cleveland. I would love to say that I don't want to hear them talking anymore and just being about it. Stop talking, just go be about it. But of course, we know that there are regulations in place where we have to have those press conferences, and we need to have those press conferences and hear them talk. If I could put my magic wand on anything and fix something, it's the pass game, because we know Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and especially as Hunt gets healthier over these next couple weeks, they're going to be running hard continuously, and this offensive line has still found ways, even with all the moving parts and injuries along that offensive line. All the best to Jack Conklin, by the way. They've still been able to run the ball when they've needed to, and that is what they are best at. But when you need to not be one-dimensional, can you get that pass game going to have some sort of electricity infused into this offense? Boy, I'll sprinkle as much pixie dust as I got, Dave, to try to get something going with that offense, and especially that pass game. But I'm only one guy, and I don't know how much magic I really have.
All right, Kevan Arnold from the Voice of the Land podcast, as always. Kevan, thanks for the time and the insight.
Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful week.
All right, Kevan Arnold, make sure you listen to him, Voice of the Land podcast. That'll do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. We will be back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Scheduled guest Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter from Plain Dealer and cleveland.com, and Tim Bielik from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. That is tomorrow at 4. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody. Woohoo.